Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. All lovers of the Sunnah and its sciences, we welcome you back to another installment of Hadith Disciple Critical Book Review. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa sallallahu ala nabi. The work that we're sharing with you tonight is called Towards Understanding a Hadith. Towards Understanding a Hadith. Compiled by Mufti Afzal Hussein Ilyas. May Allah protect him. Best principles in the hadith of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Definition of hadith. Tuhfatul Durar, Sharh Nukhbatul Fikr. Zamzam Publishers. About the book. This book is a compilation of 3 books. Number 1, Best Principles of Hadith by Maulana Khair Muhammad Jalandhari. It says here, Rahmatullahi alayhi. Number 2, Definition of Hadith by Sheikh al-Haq Dehlavi, Rahmatullahi alayhi, and Tuhfatul Durar by Allama Mufti Ahmad Saeed Palanpuri. Explaining types of hadith, the books of hadith and their classifications, types of jarh and ta'dil. Definition of hadith, Sheikh Abdul Haq Dehlavi. Discussing the methodology of narration and simple basic fundamental of a hadith for any layman to understand. Tuhfatul Durar, Sharh commentary of Nukhbat Fikr of Hafiz al-Asqalani, Rahmatullahi alayhi. This is an academically advanced text which is generally taught in higher institutes of learning. It is difficult to understand, but Allama Mufti Ahmad Saeed Palanpuri, current Sheikh al-Hadith of Darul Ulum Deoband, has simplified it useful for any scholar. Important notice. Kindly know that this publication contains passages from the noble Quran and blessed ahadith. Therefore, handle with care, respect, and honor. Your cooperation will be rewarded. That is the excerpt on the back of the book. It said it's published by Zamzam Publishers. The book, Walillahi alhamd, is a good book. It's a beneficial book. It's useful. It's something which is worthy of your money to purchase. Inshallah, worthy of your time and worthy of your attention. That's the general view regarding the book. The book is approximately 165 pages. 165 pages. It says here in the sleeve of the book, or the opening page, Darul Ulum, or it says first and foremost where the book is available and the publishers. We have a bit of information on this and of that. Zamzam Publishers, Urdu Bazaar, Karachi, Pakistan. Okay, 2012, December 2012. Then it mentions some branches of some of these book houses, bookshops, and publishers where you can find the book. So let's say that the book was printed in Karachi, Pakistan in 2012, hopefully. Was it printed in the UK? Was it printed in London? Was it printed in Pakistan? We're not exactly sure, but one of those 2 locations, either in Karachi or in London, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So we have 165 pages, roughly 67 pages of the book. That's the excerpt, the authors, what the book is about, and our general view and opinion of the work. Let's start off with the pros of the book. Number 1, the book is highly informative. Number 2, the work combines between the 2 styles of translation and compilation, meaning it is a translation of classical works, older works that were in Arabic or in Urdu, and then translated into English. And the author, or the authors, which we'll get to later on, they actually have put things together themselves and compiled things themselves. Number 3, there's no Western or modern influence in the work. Influence from Great Britain, from America, no Eastern influence, the Far East, in which people interpret the hadiths how they want to interpret them, and talk about hadith science which suits their modern Western or westernized agenda. None of that is in the book, Walillahi alhamd. Number 4 is accurate translation. Translation is pretty accurate, alhamdulillah. Number 5, the Arabic transliteration, which allows further progression for the studious layman. The transliteration which allows further progression of the studious layman, meaning the word maqlub is mentioned. And it isn't just a pure translation inverted. Okay, or mudraj is mentioned in the Roman transliteration, and just doesn't say interpolated. But it gives you the translation, and it gives you the term and how to pronounce it in Arabic, but in English transliteration, to allow you to recognize it when you read it in Arabic. or when you go to a higher level of studies. And that's very beneficial for the layman. Number 6 is the work is very well organized. Very well organized. As far as the cons of the book, first and foremost is lack of clarity, rather total inconsistency regarding the actual author or authors. Throughout the book, you'll be confused who's the author of this book, who's the author of that treatise, which one translated it, which one compiled it, rather who wrote it. Number 2 is the lack of information available on the authors. Who is this mufti and this alama, Palanpuri and Dehlavi and this one, that one? Who are they? Where do they come from? What are their specifications? None of that has been provided. Number 3, an abundance of inaccurate Arabic transliteration, in which words is supposed to be an ayn or kasra or fatha has been translated incorrectly. And if it's transliterated incorrectly, then of course the layman person will learn it and say it incorrectly. Number 4 is the lack of glossary of terms. Number 5, Arabic terms quoted in the transliteration without the provided meanings. Meaning what was a pro is also a con, because instead of having the best way, which is to mention the word in its transliteration, maqlub, M-A-Q-L-U-B, maqlub, or M-A-Q-L-O-O-B, and then say inverted or flipped, topsy-turvy, upside down, we just have the word maqlub being mentioned, and it gives no type of transliteration of the term. Moving forward, there are several issues of research left totally open without any conclusion. Things which are totally open-ended, no conclusion, nothing has reached any type of final determination in those places. Not that many cons, walillahi alhamd. Let's move on to some notable quotes. There are many. The first of them that I'll share with you is on page 48. It says, Imam Hakim Abu Abdullah Nisaburi, rahmatullahi alayhi, has in his book Mustadrak stated all the authentic hadith which were omitted by Imams Bukhari and Muslim, rahmatullahi alayhima, thereby compensating for them. He had also mentioned therein some hadith which confirmed to the shara'it of both or one of the two Imams, Shaykhain, and also other narrations which conform to the shira'at of other reputable muhaddithin. Imam Hakim mentioned that the Shaykhain had never averred that besides the narrations listed by them, all others were not sahih. Imam Hakim mentioned that there existed a group of people during his era already who had begun bad-mouthing the Imam of the Deen by claiming that the total number of their hadith had not even reached 10,000. Meaning, he's stating that Imam al-Hakim Abu Abdullah al-Nisaburi is clarifying in his book Al-Mustadrak that Bukhari and Muslim never claimed nor attempted to collect all of the authentic hadiths, and any hadith outside of Bukhari and Muslim is fake, false, and bogus, and lacking of genuine authenticity. Doesn't state that. Bukhari and Muslim never stated that, and the scholars of hadith never ever believed that. And obviously that's a bit of common sense. It's also factual information, but it's also a bit of common sense too, to think that just only 2 scholars from among thousands would collect all of the legacy of the Prophet that's authentic. That doesn't make sense. However, many people, they may think that. And with Western influence and modern Western academia, they may fall for that. And there's some people who will say that they're Muslims, they will say that I only take the hadith from Bukhari and Muslim, and that's it. Or there may be some people that only promote Bukhari and Muslim, even to the layman people, and say no other books of hadith you should ever read or come across unless Bukhari and Muslim. That's clearly problematic, and one of the reasons behind that is not understanding historical context, let alone the confusion of a hadith being da'if and the scholars differing over it, so on and so forth. Also, the concept of reputable scholars of hadith. There were many imams of hadith, and Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim were not the only ones. So what they had, their views, their opinions, doesn't mean that it dominates the other ulama of hadith, let alone those who came before them. Moving forward, page 159. The author or the authors, they say, Adab al-Muhaddith. To know the rights of hadith and the muhaddithin is important, since this knowledge goes hand in hand with respect. In fact, it is dependent upon this. Allahu Akbar. This is a tremendous notable quote. It's to realize that you have to study the rights of hadith, making wudu, covering your awrah, washing up, using the toothstick, covering your head, wearing white, whatever is to respect hadith, and to respect the teachers of hadith, the students of hadith to respect them and never ever to disrespect them, and to never ever desecrate the sacredness of the circle of hadith. Why? Why is that so important? The author says that this knowledge, meaning ilm al-hadith, goes hand in hand with respect. Allahu Akbar. It isn't an important aspect, an integral aspect. No, it goes hand in hand. Hadith, respect, respect, hadith. So if you're a disrespectful person to Allah, to yourself, to your teacher, to your students, to your class, to your chosen craft, then you're really not a master of ilm al-hadith. Rather, the author says, in fact, it is dependent upon that. Allahu Akbar. Ilm al-hadith, knowledge, the way of the Salaf, Ahlul Sunnah, it is dependent upon being respectful. And if you're not respectful, and if you don't have the necessary respect, then you are alien and far from this noble and sacred science. The last one that I'll share with you is on page 161. The author or the authors, they say, adab at-talab or at-talib, etiquettes of the student, of the seeker, of the disciple. He mentions 10 things to do. From them, it says, always make shukr to Allah for granting him this opportunity to study the greatest ilm. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Never ever stop to thank Allah for making you a hadith disciple, for choosing you to study the greatest of all knowledge, and that's the knowledge of the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Never stop. Many of us, we may forget about it, or we may become heedless, or we may get caught up in this class or compensation for this money and this person and this popularity and this reputation and this sheikh and this book and this scholar and this degree and this academic research and this job, but we forget to just stop and say alhamdulillah, all thanks is for Allah for making me someone who devoted my life to the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As far as the specific sins of the book, I'll share with you a few. First of them is on page 17. There are about 3 of them on this one page. From them it says here, it says these kitabs, on page 16 it says these kitabs which contain almost only da'if ahadith. He mentions Nawaid al-Usul, Hakim Tirmidhi, Tarikh Khulafa, Tarikh ibn Najjar. Then it says on page 17 Musnad Firdaus as E, and on F it says Dailami. Is Dailami the name of a book and Musnad Firdaus the name of a book? Or is Musnad al-Firdaus the name of the book of Ad-Dailami? So that's a sin, that's a mistake. Then it says in the next paragraph or the next line, those kitabs which mawdu'af, fabricated hadiths, are gathered, i.e. mawdu'af of Ibn al-Jawzi, Sheikh Muhammad Tahir. So it wasn't just a typo, but the word was repeated twice back to back, proving that that's how it was spelled or thought it was spelled. Allahu alam. I don't think that the author, I have nothing but good thoughts that the author would think that that's the word in Arabic, mawdu'af, mawdu'at, with a T. But the editor, the translator, whoever, they put that there twice, and that's a sin. That's not correct. Then it says madhahib of these 6 compilers. Imam Bukhari is said to be a mujtahid or shafi'i. La ilaha illallah. Which one is it? Is he shafi'i or mujtahid? And who is the one that proves and claims that Bukhari was a disciple of Shafi'i fiqh? Anyone who reads Bukhari's book knows that Bukhari was totally independent, and he never clung or clinched or stuck to one madhab. Abadan. He was with the athar and the usul. Then it says Imam Muslim Shafi'i. What's the proof for that? That Imam Muslim was a Shafi'i. Then it says Imam Abu Dawud Hanbali or Shafi'i. Imam Nasa'i Shafi'i. Imam Tirmidhi Shafi'i. Imam Ibn Majah Shafi'i. That's an atrocious mistake. A horrible mistake to claim that those independent ulama of hadith followed any madhab, let alone the madhab of Shafi'i. And it's very weird and ironic and peculiar for the scholars and the compilers coming from the sub-Indian continent, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, in most cases India, Kashmir, these places like this, to attribute those scholars to Shafi'iyah. Because you have to get that from somewhere. Is it a mistake? Is it an error? Are you blindly following someone else? And worse come to worse, one can say is ta'assub. Because a person has a madhab, he'll try to add and attribute as many hadith scholars to his madhab. And obviously it would say Hanafi. If they come from India, and they're not Ahlul Hadith, you say Hanafi. It's so strange that they would say Shafi'i, and Allah knows best. The next specific sin is on page 19. 18 as well, but on page 19 it says, Muhaddithin who have been accused of ta'assub, Daru Qutni and Khatib Baghdadi, meaning being fanatics for their madhab or their way. Who claimed that Daru Qutni was muta'assib? Khatib al-Baghdadi, was he muta'assib? Maybe, maybe not. The different things that happened to him, how he switched and changed his madhab, Hanbali to Shafi'i, what the Hanbalis in Baghdad did to him, so on and so forth. But Dar al-Qutni, where is that proven? And where is it proven that Khatib al-Baghdadi was muta'assib? Was he muta'athir? Was he affected? Was he influenced? And what you call him a fanatic and a bigot. Then we have on page 75. It says, translation, some ahad are maqbool, accepted, whilst others are mardud, rejected. Istidlal, extracting proofs from ahad are mawquf, dependent on bahth, investigating the condition of its rawis. This is not so the case of the first type, i.e. mutawatir. At times, due to some qara'in, it says qarina, external cause, ahad may give the fa'i the benefit of ilm nazari, deductive in nature. This is the mukhtar preferred view. Now, that translation, this is the translation here of Nukhbat al-Fikr with regards to ahad and gharib and mutawatir and mashhur and mustafid. We're not here to discuss that and the details of that right now and how that's foreign to ilm al-hadith, and that comes from the people of usul and the people of kalam and the people of rhetoric and the fuqaha. But we're here to discuss that. The translation says, it says وَفِيهَا الْمَقْبُولُ وَفِيهَا الْمَرْدُودُ لِتَوَقُّفُ الْإِسْتِدْلَالِ بِهَا على البحث عن أحوال رواتها دون الأول إلى آخره. It says istidlal, extracting proofs from ahad. That's an incorrect translation. That's not what's meant by the text. Listen once more. He says لِتَوَقُّفُ الْإِسْتِدْلَالِ بِهَا على البحث عن أحوال رواتها. He says لِتَوَقُّفُ الْإِسْتِدْلَالِ بِهَا. Those proofs and evidences giving yaqeen, كيفية الوصول إلينا. Not istidlal meaning halal, haram in the fiqh, extracting proofs. No. Meaning for us to say that this hadith can give yaqeen or not yaqeen. And that's because we have to search for al-bahthi ala ahwali ruwatiha, the conditions of the narrators, and that's not like supposedly the mutawatir. And Allah surely knows best. The last specific sin is on page 147, the sin that we'll mention. There are others. The authors, they say, or says in the footnotes, Imam Abu Hanifa was born in the 80th year after the Hijrah, when many Sahaba were still living. Imam Sahib met several Sahaba and even narrated a hadith from them. He met Sayyidina Anas radiallahu anhu. 20 great ulama have attested to this with an exclamation mark. For details, check Qawaid fi Ulum al-Hadith with the tahqiq of Sheikh Abdul Fattah. That's a horrible mistake. Abu Hanifa, may Allah's mercy be upon him, never ever met any of the Sahaba. Period. He never met any of the Sahaba. Some ulama, they argue whether he saw one of the companions, whether he saw one of them, whether it was Anas or other than Anas. And the correct view, al-qawl al-rajih al-sahih, lam yasma' minhu, wa lam yuhaddith anhu, wa lam ya'khud minhu shay'an. He only, the claim and the argument is, hal ra'ahu yusalli. He saw him praying. And if he saw the person praying, he does not become a tabi'i until he meets the sahabi, hears from the sahabi, narrates from the sahabi. And some ulama even make more further stipulations, such as to study with them, tul suhba, is to be with the sahabi for some time. As far as seeing Anas radiallahu anhu, or one of the later companions and the junior companions making salah, it does not necessitate and prove and demand that he is a tabi'i. So that's wrong, let alone 20 other companions. That is totally and absolutely erroneous. It's totally erroneous, and there lies no doubt that opinion and that view, no matter who makes that statement, is based off of ta'assub. It's based off of ta'assub and them trying to make Abu Hanifa greater and better than others. And the argument here is not to say that Abu Hanifa wasn't great or Abu Hanifa wasn't greater than others. That's not the argument. That's not the discussion. But the discussion is to use facts. If Abu Hanifa was the greatest of the Imams, that's fine, by facts. If he wasn't the greatest of Imams, that's fine, by facts. If a Shafi'i, Malik, Ahmed, if they benefit from Abu Hanifa, that's fine, based off of facts and not incorrect information and erroneous things. When we try to respect Abu Hanifa and give him his rights and give him his props and his authority that he deserves, we can't do it through lies, and we can't do it through mistakes and inaccuracies and erroneous, bogus things. Rather, that is only harming Abu Hanifa. That's not helping him. That's not benefiting him. And Abu Hanifa, كَغَيْرِهِ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْعِلْمِ, like other scholars, هُمْ فِي غُنْيَةٍ. They have no need of these types of statements and these bravado claims. He met this companion, he met this person, he did this. They have no need for that. Their knowledge, their service What they did for Islam is proven, and they have no need for us to just make up things, or for us to collect mahabba wa dib, any information that we find in any book with no chain of narration and no level of authenticity. So that's a tanbihun. That's a notice. It is not about bashing Abu Hanifa. It is not about praising Abu Hanifa. It is only about facts